All right, guys, good afternoon and welcome on back. Continuing along our Thursday, right here in the Cyber Group Trading Room, streaming across social media, Facebook, YouTube alike. Welcome on back for our afternoon meeting, guys. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. Of course, not a whole lot happening here within the markets going into this afternoon. I feel like this day's kind of been dragging, at least since after 11 a.m. Great to see everybody, though. Gene, Bonnie, William, Greg, Pat, Joe, great to see you all loud and clear. Unanimous. I'd like to see that as well. All right, so we got a few of us here as well on social media, guys. Welcome on board. So without further ado, let's hop into it. We just finished up the Phase 1 stock course yesterday. I was saying yesterday we had like a lightning round edition of the meeting. I could take my sweet time now. So for right now, guys, this day, it's been dragging. So at least in the morning, we ended up seeing a nice pop. A lot of the stocks on our side list ended up moving up. But aside from that, we ended up doing very nicely, at least from the stocks that we had from the CTU morning watch list, including one in particular. You can look at the chart, say it's not really doing as much, but the Aemd trade. Let's get back to pre-market. I'll go over these lines here I have up here in just a second, but the Aemd trade ended up coming out with news. I think it was Corona related. Ended up making this gigantic pop from 150 up towards 450 almost. And that was just about 10 minutes prior to the market open. 920 right here, this huge pop. So going into the market open for a stock like Aemd, really any stock that's up as much as this was, you would expect a big pullback, profit taking upon market open at 930. And we ended up seeing just that, much more often than not, at the least, we tend to see the big drop off. And if we end up seeing a stock pop right after, once the market opens, trust me, guys, it's going to pull back shortly afterwards. So you got to be careful holding into the open for a stock like this. Nonetheless, Aemd, it ended up presenting a really good opportunity, guys, right off of major support that we had. Level 4 book map. I mean, of course, the matrix as well. But we ended up seeing this from pre-market, even from level 4 book map. That is 250. 250 ended up being a very big support level. We ended up seeing more volume join the bid at that price as Aemd was dropping off after the market opened up. But, it took a couple of attempts for it to really solidify its support. But, nevertheless, the 250 level ended up being a great bounce point at first for Aemd, ended up squeezing back up towards 331. You'll see the line I have up there. That's the opening bell print. So, well, I have the sweet time, like I said. Let's go through time and sales. I'll show you what happened right at 930 that made me draw a line at that 331 price. All right. I also think I fixed my computer issues too. Knock on wood as I say that, but 331, you can see right here on time and sales on the bottom right here, 363,000 share print right at the market open. So that's what we tend to call the opening bell print here. I normally make this line yellow, but nonetheless, you ended up seeing this make a run right up there. I think it topped off at, what was it, 28? 28, yeah, 328 it topped off at, just 3 cents underneath that price. So just a few cents shy of that resistance, ended up coming right back down though. And going into the late morning though, we ended up getting caught up in this trap here, because you would expect if this thing ends up ending up holding once more here, I was expecting this to tank at this point, but if it's going to hold, you figure it's going to squeeze up, ending up making the big pop that we were hoping for. I ended up taking a small loss on this trade off the breakout here from 3. It was about a 9-cent loss from 302, ended up jumping out at right around 293. I mean, it ended up pushing up a little bit over time, but you could see the volume died off shortly afterwards. And from that point and heading into the afternoon here, this Aemd trade has had a tough time trying to make the break over 3. So right now, I mean, given the volume this stock has been trading, it's tough to think it's going to, make the second big move up going into the close. But given how well it's holding, guys, I mean, this is a good display of higher lows. I'm going to put this on our list, at least for right now. I mean, I don't know if we'll make the top by the end of it, but the Aemd is still setting itself up for a potential break above 3 resistance. Right now, I even have an order over 3. If this ends up popping, I might have to turn to it, set up a stop pretty quickly. But, I'm going to tell this to all of you guys here in the trading room and for all of us on social as well. But, if you end up jumping in over 3, just make sure that you have a stop set, whether it's a line in the sand mentally or whether it's an actual stop limit, stop market order underneath that major level, because the last thing that you would want to get caught up in is a false breakout like I ended up getting caught up in earlier. And like you'd see over here over time, it was still pretty rugged, pretty shaky to make a clean run. So, for right now, we'll look to see if this can make the final pop over 3, but I'm not going to put my eggs in that basket fully, and meaning I'm not going to kick back and enjoy the run here, because if it ends up failing, it might end up pulling way back. So again, just set your stop tight, set your line in the sand pretty tight, and at least hopefully at that point it'll end up making that move. All right, so Aemd was a nice trade, at least off support earlier today. I mean, we've had a few of these stocks come up, not Aemd as much, but this ALPN stock thing's still pushing up a little bit going into the afternoon, but it's another one of these like low float stocks that have made these ginormous pops and breakouts in pre-market, or at least shortly after the market opens. But this thing, as you could see, has ended up doing just that from 8 up towards 18 market opens. So the pullback ended up breaking out over 10, ended up making a nice run, low float stock up towards 14.50ish, 15, I think, high the day there. For right now, we'll put this back on our list as well. But again, just one you got to be really careful on, just given the order book here. Level 3, big spread right now on the TradeStation matrix. Some thin orders on the bid, some thin orders on the ask. So you can see why the stock has been so nasty up and down. Ended up making a steady trend off the lows and the highs at least. But otherwise, the spread's opening up right now, like 20-cent spread between the 12.30 bid and the 12.50 offer. All right, but higher lows right now. We'll look to see if this can pop. So we'll put this back on our list. And ALPN. All right, and then again, we saw this one from yesterday. U1. This one's pushing up pretty nicely here. It seems like. Wow, nice. All right, so U1. Hopefully ALPN does what U1's doing right now. The ALPN, the U1 trade at least here, and we'll head right over to the Class D stock coming up. U1K. We saw this. We went over this yesterday at least. U1K ended up making this big pop early on, ended up dumping off though shortly after. So if U1's pushing up, this one's got to move up with it. All right, cool. So at least easy to put on the list. U1's not going to be an easy trade given the spread, the lack of volume on the order book. This one, at least, has been a much smoother trade, at least in terms of seeing visibility on the order book, in terms of seeing larger orders on the bid and the ask, identifying stronger support resistance. So for right now, I mean, I would assume for it to be the next level. Let's see, scroll up on the matrix here. Nothing showing up yet at 4 whole number resistance here. I would assume that to be the next level. Topped off at 4 earlier in the afternoon. 19K to 390 here. I mean, if it's not 4, it's going to be a range between 390 and 4 on the offer. So U1, U1K, at least for right now, we'll both put on the list. All right, well, that was pretty easy, at least just to build up for right now. We had a couple of others. Carve ended up making another low volume run up. Looks like it's trying to break out over 13 for right now, but as you could see, pop shortly after the market opened up, got halted a couple of times on the way up. Once it got halted on the way down, that was pretty much it. So, again, I feel like for right now, I'll put this on the list. But again, another one that has like an empty order book, 24-cent spread right now. Got to be careful on a stock like this, guys. I don't have my level 4 up for Carve right now. Clearly, at least, you could see it's holding underneath the chart, underneath 13 there. So for right now, I would consider 13. Actually, you could see on the level 2 even. It's easier to read on level 2 than level 3. The 4,700 share order on the ask. So, all right, we'll put Carve on as well for the meantime. This will probably make the bottom of the list, if anything. And I guess at this point, guys, I mean, we've already been 5 stocks deep on this afternoon list so far between the Aemd and the others. So let's just go from top to bottom at this point across gainers and losers list. What is this? VRME? The hell? Verify me? I mean, I'm guessing buyout, but don't really know. I'll just take the look. Let's see. Verify me price is 2.7 mil unit offering. Okay. 460 a unit. 50-to-1 reverse stock split. Okay. I mean, either way, I'm just interested in knowing why the hell you see a stock that's up 3,056%. We're not going to trade this guy, so just to skip over it. ALPN, just given the activity, it's still trading good volume per minute. I mean, it's been waning down quite a bit across the afternoon, but trading about 40,000 shares per minute roughly. So given that, it's easier to see some bigger prints, bigger volume getting filled, given the order book at least. But for right now, I would keep your focus on the 50-cent levels. The whole number is like $12 support there going into the afternoon so far. 13 presumptively is resistance. All right, so we got three of the top four so far on the list. NES, we'll take a look at. This thing's had a pretty big spread too. Yeah, not going anywhere. FAMI, nice early squeeze up before even most of us were able to trade pre-market here from 60 cents up towards $1.80. What's interesting? Take a look. So stock today is trading 96 mil. You could see on the chart here, the daily chart, this yellow number, this represents the average volume per minute. Or not minute, geez, average daily volume. I'm looking at that. Average daily volume here. So looking at this 95 million, that's factored in. So, or at least that's factored into this number. Prior to today, stock trades 731,000 shares a day. Pretty low, right? So for a small cap stock like FAMI or, the ALPN, U1, whatever it may be, that's where you got to be careful of a sharp volume drop off. I mean, these are usually just short squeezes, day trades. They end up getting dumped off. So unfortunately, this FAMI trade ended up doing just that. Wouldn't surprise me for one bit just to see this fill the gap even on the daily chart going into the close or the after hours. Probably the same in Neon. This was a nicer little run up, got halted on the way up even, opened up a little bit higher. From there, the volume died off. BIOC, this thing's been doing a good job today. Higher lows at least across the whole day, ended up topping off at 98 just about, a little bit underneath. I'll keep it on the side. Maybe we'll come back to this just at the very end. It's been an interesting trade, not even today, just, across the last week. We've been calling this out sporadically. See, take a look. This one, HUSN. You got to be careful here. This one was one I was really focused on leading into the open. This was holding underneath resistance at the time, 217 on the chart. Big 60,000 share seller on the offer at 220 going into the open. So, should it have broken out above that price, it would have been a nice trade, or at least one that was pretty interesting. Ended up dumping right back down and then pulling back much lower. So it's usually what happens here, guys. ISCE we'll take a look at. This one, so I want to go back on the 1 minute chart even because the daily chart doesn't show this. I want to take a look. News came out. I forgot what the news was. This was back a couple days ago. Pre-market, really early in the morning. Big pop up early on, up towards like 750. Ended up dumping back down. It was a bust this day. Really didn't do much. But, this ISCE trade, not even from the other day, we followed the stock most notably, as you could see back in mid-October, ended up gapping up, making this huge run up over time. So we've been pretty familiar with this trade, and at least today it's been making this nice little run up here, low volume kind of. The order book is pretty tight, so I like to see that tight spread. There's some volume there on the bid, the ask. So for right now, I'll put this one on our list. ISCE. NTN trade we are kind of familiar with. The other day, much like the others, ended up making a bit of a run up at least. This trade, let me go back on the time and sales. I was going to say we have a big volume spike right there, and I looked at the tape; it was like pretty empty. There we go. 39.40. Yeah, you can see a bunch of prints filled underneath 315, 320-ish perhaps, 315 mostly though. Notice not much volume on the bid at 3. Pulled back to 292, and then from there move back up. This NTN trade just pretty choppy. It's not really doing too much. Maybe we'll come back to it. You know, it makes some pop afterwards. We'll come back, but all right. Let's just kind of skim through here, guys. See what else we have. CDE or COE, that is, not CDE. Nice trend, pretty crap volume. VISL ended up running up nicely. Nice cheapie, ended up doing pretty well, but dumped off. EMPH, I mean, this ended up making a nice run up for as much as this dumped off yesterday. Did a pretty good job recovering. You know, I normally say it's a tradable stock. It's just in a much tighter range right now, as you can see. So I feel like between yesterday's move and today, I feel like the stock has kind of just like exhausted itself out. Stock Gurn, another one. This stock we're pretty familiar with too. Nice run up, lower highs. Notice, guys, the stock is shortable. You know, I'll tell you, slight difference between myself and Fausto. I don't know if you would put this on our list as much, or at least consider it as a short. I'm considering this as a potential short. Lower highs, if it's not breaking higher, I mean, it's a really slow stock. And of course, if it ends up popping and holding support here at 2 and, you know, therefore popping afterwards, then it would be a fantastic, you know, trade to, you know, try and follow going into the close higher. So I'll put this one on our list either way, up or down. All right, we got a bunch of crap otherwise, guys. All right, we'll hop over to the losers list, see if there's anything over there. There are a few things that are shortable. We'll take a look at those here in a moment. GLBS down, not really down too much. This IDYA is kind of pulling lower right now, or at least approaching the lows. Low at 1435. Just notice there's like nothing on the order book though. Just because there's like no support showing on the order book, guys, doesn't mean that there isn't. You can see the bid just grew at 1450, 1700 shares at least. You know, just again, kind of low volume on the order book, bit of a spread. I'm not as concerned about that, at least just yet. It is shortable, so it could be a good setup, good opportunity, especially if it ends up breaking under 1450. But, you know, this is one where I wouldn't look to trade a lot of shares. Probably be pretty tough to get out of this trade just using a limit order, trying to get a full fill at least, just given what you see on the order book. But maybe I'll come back to this at the end. I'll tell you, for as flat as the market's been across this afternoon, guys, you don't want to force anything out there. This quick trade. This one's trying to make a little squeeze up, maybe. Pretty low volume again. Man, that's pretty much it. I don't see really anything else, at least near the gainers and losers side here, guys. So if there's anything else on the chat boards, let me know. Social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, and of course the trading room here, let me know. A bunch of calls on Carve. Crazy runs will come. Let's go back to Carve here. Looking good. On the way up to 15. Yeah, 15 major resistance. I'd expect a pop and drop here, guys. Nice break from 13. Very clean break from 13. Too clean. I think it's going to make a pop and drop if it even pops from 15 here. Then just closed out from 1470. All right. Let's see, guys. Anything else on YouTube, Facebook? Carve just keeps going. Yeah. Now, I'll tell you, it seems like it just keeps going. Obviously, it is, but we ended up seeing that early in pre-market yesterday, right? And at some point, it stopped. And when it stopped, look how fast it came back down, right? Now, I kind of sound like a pessimist here, guys, but you know, at least at this point right now, it's up 77%. It's kind of approaching that opening price even. That's near 16. Maybe a squeak out an extra buck. Up, there's the pop and drop, at least for now. It broke above that major order at 15 that we had, ended up dumping right back down pretty sharply. All right. The CTRM trade keeps pushing up, at least for right now. Nice cheapie. It's only up 8% for the meantime. Maybe I'll just like tag this at the bottom. U1 pushing up to 36, so you got to figure Class D's on the way up higher too. Pop and drop from 4 so far, so maybe next crack over 4 here will run higher. I don't see much else otherwise, guys, so I feel like we're good. Bioc kind of just doing nothing. And then what was the last one? It was the IDYA, was it? Yeah, this one. Yeah. Nah, I'm not going to put it on. My NCLH, my baby, kind of flat right now too. We'll take one last look at the Dow, and then we'll close out. Yeah, kind of lower highs, higher lows, I guess, too, but it kind of seems like the markets are going to, pull back. It's kind of just based on the 1 minute chart, at least. All right. So otherwise, guys, hey, listen, it's been a pretty slow day since the late morning. So, for this list, I hope to see a very strong close so far already. Obviously, U1's been pushing up pretty nicely, and hopefully a couple of these others end up making a clean move. But, hey, if you ended up making your day's pay today, or at least early on, lock it up. Don't waste a single dollar, guys. There's no need to give back here, at least. So don't force anything out there. That's what I meant earlier. But otherwise, for all of us streaming across social media, if you'd like to learn more about what we're doing here at CTU, just make sure that you guys call the phone number down below. One of our education advisors will pick up and just provide more detail. And for all of us here in the trading room, of course, hey, we have a solid afternoon ahead. So I'll look to post and tweet the picks, and shortly after, we'll resume the audio broadcast, guys. All right, take care.